Hey, I'm Sid with SidSalesHouses.com.
And I'm Adam Stevens.
Hey, we were putting together some informational videos, just to kind of quick tips and tricks around the house to kind of help you keep your house moving, flowing, and looking great.
And today we're going to fix a leaky hose bib. Alright, today we're going to look at repairing a leaky hose bib. This particular bib is not leaking, but it's having a similar problem. When we turn the handle all the way out to turn the water on, we have no water coming out. We know the water's on in the house because we checked the faucets inside. There are no other shutoffs inside, and so we're assuming this is having a similar problem to a leaky faucet where there's a washer stuck at the back of the bib. Alright, we're going to shut the water off so that we can work on that hose bib outside. There's a couple ways to shut off the water. You can turn it off out at the street at the meter, or you can turn it off at the main shutoff on the inside of the house. It's important to find out where your main shutoff is in case you ever have a leak. You can quickly go and turn the water off inside the house. The meter is a little bit more difficult to take off the lid and get down there, and you have to have a special tool to turn it off. Whereas in this case, we just came down in the basement. There's an access cover over the water shutoff, and it's just a 90-degree turn like this to get that water shut off. Alright, we've got the water shut off in the house. We went ahead and turned the kitchen faucet on. That way when we start unscrewing this, the drain line, or the water lines in the house will all drain out. We'll get all the water out of the system. We're going to take off the handle just with the screwdriver. There's a little set screw here. And then next we're going to pull out the valve stem. You can use a crescent wrench. This one's a little bit small to get around the nut, so I've just got a pipe wrench here. And we are going to take out the valve stem. And then let's see, I think this. Oh, it needs to unscrew a little bit more. There's the valve stems. So you can see there's still no water leaking out, and up on the end here there's normally a washer and a screw holding that in, and that's come off in this case. So on this one we're going to see if we can get that screw out and the washer.
So Adam's taking apart the washers and everything so that we can change that out.
Okay, oops, got a Phillips here. Okay, so this is the little piece that came out of the end of here. It actually had, I'll start over here. I'm gonna just put it back together and do the whole thing. You still going?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the stem, and this is the set of washers on the end. You pop it out, there's a little spring in here, and this. Now you wanna make sure this is moving freely. I actually just had to sand it off a little bit, had maybe a little bit of buildup on it. I just sanded out the inside a little bit. And then I think we've just got a little bit of a problem with this washer right here. So you just take a Phillips screwdriver, unscrew that. Make sure to keep those in the right order. We'll pop this out. And then it's that one washer right there, the rubber washer we're gonna replace.
It's a tapered washer there.
Yeah. We've got a new one here. Gonna fit back in there. That. Now we bought a new one in case we needed to fully replace it. If you look at these washers really close, you can see this one is a little bit taller and more tapered. We are actually going to try and trim it to see if we can get more of a shape like this, because the old washer was this shape and we think that's why it may have been stuck in the back. We'll see how it works. With the new washer, I'm gonna thread that in there, just like that.
Now Adam, how tight do you need to make that?
This doesn't need to be very tight, and I think that might have been part of the problem. When this was turned on and off, you know, sometimes people really crank down on that hose bib, and maybe just over time it wore it out. You know, you really just need to turn it as tight as it takes to stop the water. and I think maybe it had just been cranked down to where that washer was really shoved in there. Okay, we're gonna throw this back on. I'm gonna show just a couple of things. There's a few different places that can leak. You saw I just pulled off this fitting. There's actually a little O-ring right here. So if your faucet's leaking not out of the bib but out of the handle, it could just be this O-ring right here, and that's an easy thing to replace. Or it could be leaking out of the vacuum here, and you'll see that there are some parts that you can swap out in there. There's another couple of, or one or two pieces of rubber down in there, O-rings and such. And so you might need to replace there if you see water coming out of that. In our case, we knew it was that back washer just because of where the leak was, or wasn't in this case. Then we'll put the handle back on. And then we'll turn the water on and we'll see how it works.
Yahoo!
Yeah, so I think that's a big problem, is that like if you just crank on this, it can really do some damage.
It just shoves it back in there.
It's just rubber, so if you crank it too hard, it can even cut it, you know?
Yeah.
And so if you just go until the water stops, that's it. You don't need to keep going.
You don't need to wrench it in. Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Okay, Adam's gone in the house. He's turned on the water inside. And so far, no leaks. Adam, so far, it looks good.
We're going to give it a couple tries here. Kind of turn it on and off. So you'll see how this is off, but it'll drain for a second. As I mentioned before, all that water is coming out of the reservoir back in there.
And this one was a 12-inch tube, so it's got a little bit of to come out. Some, they go from 8 to 10 and 12, right?
Go one more time here. Looks like we might have still a little bit. We'll kind of see how long that drips. It's going to drip for a second, but it should stop. And if not,
I think like you said before, some of the problem that some people have is that they see that drip and they don't realize there's a tube in there that's draining out.
right,
And so they think, oh, it's not closed all the way, so they will wrench it really, really hard.
right.
But they need to understand that it does take a few minutes for that to completely stop.
Replaced. We did think that it was still dripping because we would turn it off and there would still be water dripping out of here. You can see the drip is completely stopped now. What we're thinking is that this right here, this valve stem maybe isn't sloped very much at all. So it actually dripped for, gosh, at least a minute after I turned it off. So don't get too afraid if you see your faucet dripping for maybe a minute or so after you shut it off. If it were dripping now that it's been a few minutes, it would be a concern, but it looks like we got it solved with replacing that washer.
All right, as you see, our finished product here stopped leaking. We got the repair done. Adam?
Took a little bit more work than we expected. Made a couple trips to the hardware store to try and make sure we got the right parts, but in the end we got it, the water stopped, which is what we wanted.
Awesome. I'm Sid with SidSellsHouses.com.
I'm Adam Stevens. We out.